After a disappointing bear hunt in New Jersey that left Gus with an unfilled bear tag, he found himself ready to try a new tactic for his next bear hunt. And that new trick up Gus's sleeve is hounds.
We had a good trip into camp, a little wet weather, but we made it there safe and sound and couldn't wait to get started hunting. First day we woke up to some pretty heavy rains, which is going to make it hard for the dogs to get a good scent trail. We spent a little time packing the dogs, and we did head out to grab some breakfast and get ready for this hunt.
Ready, Gus?
Let's do it, man. This is the revenge tour, man. After 6 days on stand in New Jersey, I'm ready to chase some bear, not just sit there staring at a bait pile.
A quick stop at a local restaurant to grab a bite to eat, and it looks like the rain might move out for the rest of the day. So now it's time for Gus and his crew to jump back in the trucks and head out to the first bait site.
Well, we had a lot of rain here in North Carolina last night, and we're checking cameras this morning to see which one of these bears has been on the bait. It's going to be a little tough to track in this kind of weather, but we'll get into an area where a bear, pretty much what they're doing is they're going to feed on these bait stations and stay in this general area. So they'll let the dogs loose and try to just walk through and see if we can bump him, pick up his scent. So like what Wade's doing right now is checking the cameras, and we're just trying to figure out where the biggest bear is going to be, and that's the one we'll go after.
We got this is a field out here.
Right.
We're going to cover between this a little field runs up in here, and all we got to do is cover this little stretch right here. It's probably 150, 200 yards wide.
Cool.
So we're thinking this bear's going to come out of the thick and
work his way.
Yep. This is all cut over out here, so this is the only place he can get out is right here. So we're depending on you, Gus.
Counting on it, huh?
Counting on you.
Okay. Hound hunting has been such a big part of American history. It's been around for such a long time, and when you see the passion that these houndsmen put into the training of their dogs and the actual hunt, and then you see the dogs just as enthusiastic as their owners to go after the game, it's really a spectacle to watch and amazing to be a part of. Baiting bear in North Carolina is a little different than baiting in other parts of the country. You can't use anything that's processed. So in our case, we use peanuts. And what they do is load these bear baits up with these peanuts and put trail cameras on them. In the morning, they go to check all the trail cameras and determine if there's a good bear that we want to go after. Once we determine there's a bear, we set out with the dogs and head after that bear. When these guys first told me that the land that I was going to hunt was thick, I just shrugged it off. Well, let me tell you, it's not only some of the thickest timber and thickest brush I've ever been in. It seems like that everything you touch cuts you or is going to make your bow shot at one of these bears very difficult. Actually, what we're trying to do, we got dogs running on the other side, and since we're trying to do this with the bow, it is so thick in here that we got to hope this bear comes by us. I mean, we're really trying to do this with a bow today, but it might come down to shooting with a firearm. And the thing is that these bears are getting this thick stuff. The dogs are chasing them. They'll look for protection in there. You know, we might get lucky in the bare trees, but I got to be honest with you, these are pretty big bear, and I don't see any trees he's going to be able to go up. So we're going to try to catch him going through one of these trails and get the shot as the dogs are on his tail. But if he gets in that thick stuff, there's no way to shoot an arrow through there. And we also have to watch out for the dogs. So there's a lot going on here. So we'll try to catch it on camera, but I'm pretty excited. After 6 days of sitting in the stand in New Jersey, watching a bait pile and not seeing anything else and having bears come at nights, we're calling this the revenge tour. Hopefully now these dogs are rooting one of these bears out and gets them moving. There's a really good bear trail bear's been using over there. We're gonna set back, it's probably about 15 yards back. He might use this trail here. The wind is really wrong for this whole set, but there's nothing much we can do about that. It's been pouring rain all night. We're gonna set up here and hopefully we hear the dogs coming, hear him coming. They're full drawn as he steps into that path and drill him. And just when you think you have a good setup on a bear, the dogs either turn the bear or he knew something was up, heads out in another direction, and it's time to hoof it to get back in front of him. It's a pretty challenging hunt and very exciting. The bear gave us a slip, but you can see where the bear went through. Must have heard the dogs or something spooked him, but he was out of here before the dogs got on him, so we'll keep going, try the next one.
After this bear gives the guys the slip, they round up all the dogs, load them back in the truck, grab a bite to eat for lunch, and come up with a plan for the remainder of the day.
After we had lunch, we headed out to a fresh bait site and cut the dogs loose to see if they could get on another bear. We just turned the dogs out and see if they strike, and we just heard them, they did, so hopefully we get on a bear on this one. Well, that pretty much sums up day one. You don't want to start out on a bear too late in the day and risk not being able to get the shot before it gets dark. It makes for a dangerous situation, not only for you, but for your dogs. So we pick up the hounds, head back to camp, and get everything ready for day two. Well, the weather's changed. We had a front yesterday, pouring rain in the morning. It's changed, it's cooled down. Temperature probably dropped 20 degrees. So I'm thinking that this morning these dogs are pretty raring to go. I'm all ready, and I think we're gonna get on a bear this morning.
You probably let her in there.
Wait, he told me to let your dog in. I said, there's two things you don't do in life. Don't mess with another man's woman or his dog.
There you go. I let you have a woman. I had to go.
It's day two, and Gus and the houndsmen head into the first bait site of the day to check the trail camera to see if any good bears may have visited throughout the night.
There's a big bear on this bait. Big bear on this bait. And that's the coolest thing. We said 6 days in New Jersey, had some monster bear there, but they're not coming to bait. They're nocturnal this time of year. And the great thing here is that you're on them, they're here, and now you're going to turn the dogs loose, and that's going to get them up on their feet, and hopefully we can get a bow shot at them today. The dogs were having a hard time picking up this bear track. We looked around and realized there was a drainage ditch that was filled with water. It's a good chance that bear had crossed that. So we had to grab a couple of the dogs and get them to the other side of the water. Taking my jacket off, get ready to go swimming. Released them dogs off that bait pile, and we kind of searched that block pretty good. They didn't come up with nothing, so we're thinking this bear might have crossed the road. And he crossed this ditch and it's just filled with water, so they might have lost the scent. They didn't pick it up right from here. They just let the dogs go on the other side. Hopefully They pick up a scent before he gets out the other side of this block. The reports we're getting is that this is a pretty bad bear and he's swatting the dogs off. And like I said, I've never done this before, and it could take several hours to get this bear bayed or treed, or he'll just walk off. But he's swatting at them dogs, so hope he doesn't hurt any of them and comes our way. I'm starting to realize with this hound hunting, things can change really quick. And with the hounds in a dangerous situation, it's time to move in and see if we can get this bear on the ground. Well, I think the dogs got that bear bayed or treed, and that's why I got my fancy bow case, but we're gonna be crawling through some briars and stuff getting in there. Once we got to this bear, I realized it was not a bear that I wanted to shoot. There were plenty of people who were willing to take this bear. Listen, none of this meat goes to waste. Everybody there has a tag to hunt bear, and you know what? I knew that if I didn't take it, one of the other guys was going to do it. The guys make a great shot on this bear. And although it wasn't me pulling the trigger, it was an absolute awesome experience to be a part of. This is an old world thing. It's a tradition that's been done here since the 1800s. And unless you crawl through this stuff to do this and understand that they do remove some bears, they eat everything they kill, and the amount of work and time that goes into it, any effort getting through these briars, this is no joke. You can't really understand what this is till you've done it. And you know, I'm glad to take part in this and be part of this tradition down here in North Carolina. This bear ran through some of the nastiest brush that I've ever been through. As you could tell from my hands and face, this stuff was brutal. I wonder why I bought this briar-proof clothing. For a day or so, I wasn't sure why, but today I'm sure, man. Instead of calling it quits for the day, there's still plenty of daylight, so we head to a fresh bait site and start the dogs again. And I thought this last bear brought me through some thick stuff. I had no idea what was in store for me. And yes, we did get on a really nice boar, just not the boar I had in mind.
It's getting really late in the afternoon and we've been hunting hard, and it's getting really close to dark, and we think the dogs are treed, and we go into woods and there's, I mean, it's really thick, and we're crawling and stuff, pulling off our hats and everything else. We're trying to get in about 300 yards from the road, and we finally get in there. We see something black, and which we thought it was a bear. We thought they had treated the bear, but then we found out that it was on the ground. We thought that the bear was bayed under some briars and all, so really couldn't see nothing. So we did finally see a little black of him, get a little bit closer, and all of a sudden, bam, here's a 400-pound hog comes out.
Although it wasn't the bear that we were after, I was still up for the challenge. We move in and try to get a clean bow shot.
Gus made a really good shot. It was really tough to get an arrow through all those vines and briars and stuff, but he done a really good job. It was a tough hunt, but Gus is a tough man.
Good job, young man.
Man, that was some thick stuff.
Nice.
Yeah. You know, you guys weren't lying how tough it's going to be to hunt in this stuff, man. Holy cow, man. We're on a bear hunt here in North Carolina. We got on a bear this morning, and I decided the past bear was a little small, but it was just so exciting to be here with the dogs. Someone did take the bear. You know, the dogs deserve it. They did a lot of work. They have a 2-week season right now, and they have an earlier season that's 1 week. So they try to get as many bear out as they possibly can. And again, the bear meat is great table fare. But this afternoon, we thought we were on a big bear. We got in here and it wound up being a huge hog. And they asked me if I wanted to take it with my bow, and I did. And the dogs did all the work, but I got to tell you something. This is some of the thickest cover I've ever had to come through. You're on hands and knees going through this. We'll give a shout out to Dan's Clothing here, because you're coming through the briars. This stuff really does protect you. Not much on your hands or your face, but it does on your body. Just an exciting hunt, man. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Glad you got it.
So once we get back to camp, it's time to break out the outdoor edge knives and get this animal processed. You know, it was just a cool experience, and to be able to harvest a big boar like that and then have the cooperation of all the guys there processing the meat with me. It was just such a rewarding experience. You realize how much everybody appreciated what we had just done and that none of this meat was going to go to waste.
As daylight breaks on Monday morning, the guys waste no time and get an early start to Gus's last day of bear hunting.
Basically what they try to do here is hit these bait sites, check the trail cams and figure out where a decent bear is hit the night before so that the dogs can get a fresh scent and get on them. This is a stand. This is a bait pile that we checked the other day and ran the dogs, but we never caught up with the bear. He was there the night before. But there's a bunch of different bait sites, so we're going to keep checking. Problem we got is we have a real good bear on the camera. He was at the bait last night, but there's a sow and 2 cubs, and they're older cubs, but they're going to put off a lot of scent, and they were here last. They were here at 5:30 this morning, and there's a refuge on one side of this. And the problem is that that big bear could have went right back in that refuge, and that these dogs will start running that sow and those cubs, and that's not what we want. So we're sitting in the truck trying to come up with a plan on this big bear. We get the word that one of the guys actually spotted a big bear going into a block of timber. Bird in the hand, I guess, or bear in the hand in this situation. That's a bear that's treed. Got a young man here that shot at him. I never got the opportunity, but that's probably a bear I would have passed. I don't know if he hit him or not. I don't think he did, but we'll see. It's pretty exciting watching these dogs work though. You know, they got huge bears down here in North Carolina, but it's just like any place else. There's also their share of smaller ones, and for a young man like that to get a shot at a bear like that, and like I said, nothing goes to waste. Every piece of meat is eaten. Pretty exciting to watch him shoot.
Sweet.
Nice bear, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it's always a lot easier when you're doing a bear recovery. They got a 4-wheeler come in here and they take some machetes and cut their way in. And this is just a way of life down here, and people eat the bear meat. This is a great hunt. It's exciting, the adrenaline rush, and they took some bears today. Unfortunately, it wasn't anything I wanted, but I wanted to be part of this, and I did get to take a great hog, so this was a hell of a trip. Like I said, I didn't get to pull the trigger on the bear, but that was my call. The opportunities were there. It's just I went to North Carolina with a certain size bear in mind, a certain caliber of bear that I wanted. I've just never been one of those guys to shoot something just for the sake of shooting it. I wanted to make sure it was the right animal to take, and unfortunately for that hog, he found himself in the wrong block of timber that day. But hey, I'm headed home with some great hog meat and some awesome memories. Like I said in the beginning of the show, hound hunting can get a bad rap, but until you experience it for yourself, you'll never realize what a special hunt this really is.